Good morning and welcome to Inclement Weather Central and a rather apt vehicle, the Subaru Forester with the e-Boxer powertrain. Now it's not going to be a normal review, no, that'd make Jack a dull boy, wouldn't it? So instead we're going to be heading 700 to 800 miles. First down to Bicester to drive some V-dubs, then after that it's a 150-mile round trip to Genesis in Leeds. And there's no better vehicle than a Subaru. I'm Ben Quirk, welcome to Planet Auto. We thought we'd wait until the wind died down a bit. But you'd really notice it in the Subaru Forester. And over I think it's about the next 10 days, we're going to be covering probably close to 700 miles. So we'll get a real feel for it. The last one we had, it wasn't the fastest vehicle in the world. This pulls 0 to 60 in around 11.5. But I feel it'll be a touch quicker than that. The last Forester we drove, well, that was considerably slower. That was namely due to the CVT. With this, we've got an electric motor, a 2-litre engine, and an eCVT. So it'll be interesting to see how all that adds up. Because that's it, we've driven the XV e-Boxer, but we have not driven this. The Forester, especially the early ones, looked a little out of proportion, but they've pretty much got it bang on now. So the Subaru Boxer engine has been used for, well, countless years. And it's the backbone of Subaru. And it's longitudinally fitted, which means it fits like that as opposed to like that. Because it's the e-Boxer, they've also put the electric motor in a similar designation. So the styling, well, literally speaks for itself. Because it's in the Sport, it does look more aggressive, and you've got the accents in various colours. Large sporty alloys, power folding door mirrors, and of course a decent ride height. So you combine that with all-wheel drive and the fact that you've got doors that cover the sills, and you've got everything you need for doing some off-roading. Well, the door opens nice and wide. So yeah, I mean, that says it all. The other thing is, you've got handles above every door. Now you can tell it's a Sport on the interior because of, for example, this tag here. But this reminds me of classic Subaru. And it was an interesting material when I was in my 20s. But this is like a more refined version of it. And I think it works really well with this, what you call a carbon fibre type trim. So we've got electric seats with memory function and all your other functionality. Not a bad sized door pocket either. Everything's built to a nice level. I mean, this is soft touch, and the fact that you've got actual material, that's quite rare on door cards nowadays. It says something when I have to reach to get the door. But I have noticed a lovely padded area here. There's so much functionality on this vehicle, but a lot of it is automated. You've got memory for the rear tailgate, proper clunky buttons as well, adaptive cruise, and I can go through my fuel computer here. Solid. So now you get an idea how big the cabin actually is. You've got masses of headroom. Just look at the height of these windows. It's got perfect visibility throughout. It's got pretty much what you need. I mean, for a start, if you start indicating, then you can see a camera up here. It's got everything we're going to need for this road trip, to be honest. We've got X mode here, and you just push that to engage dirt, snow, mud. One thing is, there doesn't seem to be a lock on this, so you can't lock out the rear diff. Buttons for cameras, buttons for heated seats, and yes, sadly, you've got an electronic handbrake. I would have liked to see a classic one in here, especially when you're off-roading. But everything's pretty damn good. Switchgear feels nice, and there's a lot of rotary, so everything's nice and practical and easy to use. The design language, well, it's certainly changed. It's more like a refresh from the previous one. I mean, primarily it was to put the powertrain in, but they've also tweaked some interior bits, etc. too. Thing is, I don't want to give everything away now. I mean, I will tell you I've got a heated steering wheel, so that's going to help me. Decent cup holders, lovely sturdy construction, and it looks rather modern. I suppose the only thing that's slightly questionable is the size of the infotainment screen. Considering it's a relatively modern and newish car, you'd expect it to be 10 times bigger. It's responsive, it's easy to use, and it's got all the functionality you need. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, car settings, DAB, etc. They've got adjustable seat belts, comfortable buckety seats. So I'm a fan of this, the red stitching, and this is all padded. Really well done. It's road trip time once again. Yes, I'm dressed in my comfortable attire because we're heading down. It's probably going to be well over 200 miles. We're going to a Volkswagen range day. and I don't think there's a better vehicle for travelling down, especially with the heavy winds and the driving rain. So we've got electric power to help us accelerate, because let's face it, the CVT on the former, well, Subaru range, let alone Forester, wasn't the best box in the world. So that's the thing, looking at this, I can see they've done loads more to it. They've facelifted it, they've tweaked some of the Subaru EyeSight system, they've even made the power tailgate faster. Now here's a quick glimpse at the space behind this seat. It's just roomy, like really roomy. So we've got what you'd say a rather stable car with a pretty renowned all-wheel drive system. And on that note, we better get a move on. One of the first things you need to know about the Subaru Forester is how to drop into EV mode. So you don't have a pure electric mode, instead you have SI drive, and you can tell which one it chooses when you look at the little screen. So you can see the curve is more upright. If I press it again, it's then more gradual. And if I back off, it goes into EV mode. So that's a way to maximise fuel off the back. Welcome to Carnforth. So what I've noticed under the crag is, yeah, it's a big old beast, so there is a little bit of body roll. It's not as bad as you'd think, but yeah. Ooh, it's just dropped into electric mode. That says something, doesn't it, for a size?
It just seems huge, doesn't it? It's like TARDIS-like.
Cavernous, yeah.
A cavernous cabin, yeah.
Everything's nice and clear, isn't it? I love the way that you've got like a secondary HUD up here as well. Yes, it's not heads-up display per se, but it's like a separate screen. You can see how pretty much all Subarus are.
Yeah, but it gives you really clear, concise information, and you know exactly where to look for it.
Yeah, and it gives you all your all-wheel drive bits as well, doesn't it? Balance of the vehicle, etc., etc.
Into electric mode.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how economical this is on A roads and B roads, because on the motorway it looks like we'll be getting something like, well, just over 40 to the gallon, which I think is better than the previous one, but it's nothing to write home about. But the bottom line is, this is massive, and if Annabelle just looks in the back for a split second, it's like a mile to the back window. Saying that, the boot is immensely big, as is the rear cabin area. Plus, I mean, look at my headroom. I could put a me on top of me. Yeah, right, exaggeration.
You could easily get a cat on your head.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, just look at this build in the middle. Cup holders, extra bits and bats, X mode, etc., etc.
We're heading down to somewhere between Bicester and Banbury. Banbury?
A quarter of a mile.
For the VW event drive day tomorrow.
There's just not a problem in this.
All the other cars avoid it, we go through it.
What did we take the XV through?
Oh, way deeper than that.
Oh, yeah.
Way, way, way deeper than that.
It's pretty much up to the grill, wasn't it?
Yes.
The thing is, they walk it.
In 1 mile.
Absolutely no problem.
At the roundabout.
Smooth transition through the box,
Take
isn't
the
it?
third.
Join the motorway and we'll probably catch up around Preston. Services, the good old mushroom, where Ben once used to
As
work.
recorded ahead.
The BK.
Eyes up.
Oh look, down 2
Discontinue
lanes
travel.
Annabelle.
Oh dear. Thanks, Master Chief. Thanks, Ben.
Wow, don't be a fool. The dude behind.
Oh my word.
Jeez. I was going to say, that was getting a bit sketchy. He was considering going for the overtake, and then all of a sudden thought, oh, there's like 800 yards worth of cones in front of me. Anyway, when we join the motorway, we're in, what is it, Storm Claudio Schwiffer or something?
Yeah. Claudio, not Claudia.
Ah, sorry. One of them. And the vehicle was being buffeted, wasn't it, left and right? So I just hit the little steering wheel symbol, and that mitigated likely about 80%. So I can drive it with one hand, and if you take it off and hold it with one hand, it's a bit. So it's amazing what that actually does. But that's the thing about Subaru's EyeSight, isn't it? I mean, we've driven so many vehicles with it. They're adaptive cruisers, like one of the best.
Yeah.
Things like the high beam assist. How fast is the responsiveness when it dips?
Oh, it's the blink of an eye, isn't it?
Yeah. An X mode, all types of things. but no, smooth transition, decent power. I've noticed lower down, you can tell it's definitely CVT related by the way it changes. But when you're on a motorway, I mean, I've still got decent pull, but that'll be the electric motor and the petrol engine. But you do hear it ramp up a bit, but it's not like they used to be, is it?
No, definitely not.
CVTs used to scream
at you. Yeah.
This is just, you hear it.
It's far more refined, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Cruise control, and it's come up in our top screen. And it shows that the lane keep assist, or like assisted steering, is engaged too. Nice and simple to use. All the controls are on the steering wheel.
Check out this big windscreen. And add that to the fact that we're sitting quite high up. We've got fantastic visibility, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. And I've got an electric seat. Have you?
I have.
And there's a lot of adjustment in it. You can even fold up the front of the seat so your legs tip back, if that makes sense.
Gives you a bit more of a buckety experience, doesn't
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Great for long journeys.
I mean, look at the width and height of it.
They're not going to see that much bent, it's dark.
You can still see that that is a fair old chunk of window, can't you? And about 40 again.
Really?
We've not even got to Blackpool Junction yet.
If it's just coming out of rush hour, it's going to be a little bit busy, I suppose.
Yeah, but that doesn't actually dictate why, for some reason, we've got, what was it, 40, 60, 40, all in the space of the Preston section.
I know, it's not to do with anything we are doing. Check out that is the blind spot detection system. It's fabulous, isn't it? It's very clear, you're not going to miss that, are you?
It's like a beacon. That's rather apt. I think we've passed Beacon Fell. National speed limit. Okay, makes a bit of racket now, but that's 70. Yeah, there is a bit of wind noise, but we're in a storm. You kind of expect it. But
it's not overly much, is it?
Overly much. Essentially, this has replaced that. The Mitsubishi Outlander. Yes, it's not plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, but it does have hybridity to it. But the bottom line is, this is a similar size. It's probably a touch bigger. And that was the thing, when I was looking at Mitsubishis and Subarus, they were kind of similar markets. There's some battered out motors. We've still got 260 miles of range, but we had 260 miles of range 10 miles ago. So the e-Boxer system certainly works. I mean, it claims we're doing 39.9 mile per gallon, but I suspect it's more. Well, that was fun. We've just gone over Thelwall Viaduct, which is always a pleasure. You've got ridiculously high winds, and we did get buffeted at one point, but it mitigated it very well, considering the height of this vehicle and its ride height. We've got nice tight steering, great feedback, and it's lovely and weighty. The other thing I've noticed is, due to speed limits, I've had to do a fair few hard brakes, shall we say.
Yeah.
And it feels well balanced, doesn't it? You'll probably remember some years ago, Annabelle, and like a fair few years ago now, we were travelling back in your EJ9, and do you remember what happened? The car did this.
I'd
forgotten about it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, something like this, because it's bigger, you expect it to be a bit more cumbersome.
Yeah.
But it isn't. When you brake, it's just fully, it just digs in and brakes. It's got great balance and poise as well. I have no clue what that guy's doing. I think he's just going for the G. There's like people undertaking in them. Okay. So yeah, in a word, it's a great driving experience. Even though we're travelling at what, about just under 70. Brilliant. So yeah, I can't really get my head around the economy. It's pretty good, more than you expect. Well, I'm glad I've got an auto-dimming mirror, because if Annabelle looks in the passenger mirror for a split second, she'll see how strong those lights are.
Those
and
are
the auto-dimming mirror is mitigating it 100%.
It's nice and refined in here. We've got heated seats.
It's got creature comforts, hasn't it?
And a heated steering wheel. How does it feel, Ben?
Well, it's lovely and toasty.
Making long journeys a joy.
Now, as you know, we drive a lot of cars up and down A roads, B roads and motorways very regularly. What what I have noticed is certain vehicles get essentially bullied. Well, the Forester is not one of those vehicles. People are letting me out. Nobody's tailgating me because they know damn well how much damage they'll do to the car because it's built like a flaming tank. And people give me time to pass and things like that. It's not really what you're used to. And it's nice. Well, it's a nice change, to be honest. So Annabelle's been doing some calculations and she's worked out that we've done 50 miles of distance and used about 30 miles of range. That's pretty good. You noticed, Annabelle, the headlamps are like supremely good.
Yeah.
Considering this is low beam. I mean, the throw, even in the rain, is pretty damn good. In the dry.
It'd be excellent, wouldn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. Mind you, I think we've got LED projection lights, automatic, high beam, etc, etc. Oh my word, it's down to 40. Well, time for the first stop. Norton Keynes. Makes a change driving a vehicle we don't have to charge, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
Nice composure around the bend there. Annabelle's favourite pickup, the Musso Saracen by Sanyong. Let's take a deeper look at this beast. Look at the size of it. It's colossal. But you wouldn't know it by driving it. Very smart. And look, Subaru.
The fluff on the bus. The fluff bus. So many fluffs.
We've also worked out how to change the screen in the middle.
Ben, demonstrate please.
Oh, well, when I've stopped spinning my
Yes,
wheel like
obviously.
a DJ.
Take the first exit.
Okay,
Let's move.
so I will now.
And then-
Ooh, that's a nice colour scheme.
Keep left.
Nice.
Eyes up.
Jeez.
At the
And
roundabout.
there's the system.
Take the first exit. Keep left.
Strange coming out
Eyes
here
up.
and not going north.
Yeah.
So it's self-leveling lights, and they also, when you corner, they illuminate probably the driving lights. So here you can see exactly what the system's doing. Keep eyes on road. Okay. So if I look down at the infotainment screen for too long, or the cluster, the car gets vexed with me. I can't, you block the sensor. It's time for a launch, isn't it? So I'm going to enable, I've got an SI button here, and then that should be a faster takeoff. It's not bad for this. Makes a bit of noise, but that's 55.
I don't think
that's
that was
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah, I don't think that was bad at all.
Considering its size, you can tell it's got an electric motor that assists, shall we
Yes.
say. Yeah, I was quite surprised at that. It dug its heels in and just went, didn't it?
It did.
That may well have been fun, but the range did drop 20 miles.
Oh dear. That was a bit of an oops moment, wasn't it?
It will go back up, but the point is it did it.
What range have we got then?
160 miles.
And 65 miles to go. So it'll be interesting to see what it says when we get to our destination.
And as you can see, we're actually charging even though my foot is down. If I put it down more, yep, it stops. As long as you don't floor it, it's pretty economical. It'll just keep putting the miles back up as opposed to down. It's when, even if you floor it for the shortest time, you will watch it drop 10 miles. Considering it's an ECVT, it would be interesting to see how it accelerates at say 60, 65. And yes, it pulls. You can quite easily exceed motorway speeds.
Yes.
Yeah, which, well, the old one could do it, it just couldn't do it very quickly. But this, you've got far more punch than you used to have. But no, it does increase economy, and it makes it more peppy, something that the Forester, well, lacked. So Annabelle, how is it as a passenger?
It's very comfortable. The seats are nice and buckety. You've got lovely heating.
Well, they're a bit like armchairs, aren't they, with like bolsters and extra bits and bats.
Yeah. And the versatility with how you can arrange it to your own suiting with the electric
Functionality.
That's the word I was looking for, yes.
Yeah.
It's made it a very enjoyable trip. It seems shorter than I think I would expect it to have been because it's a comfortable ride.
It's not just that, it's the suspension as well.
Yeah, it's not as wallowy as I would have expected for a vehicle of this size, especially in these kind of winds. We've not been buffeted much, have we?
Oh no, it's doing well. But that's down to lane keep assist, adaptive, etc. But the actual suspension itself gives a comfortable ride, but at the same time you can still change lanes at a decent speed and it doesn't feel sketchy. It maintains composure and feels pretty well planted, but let's face it, there's a fair bit of weight behind this motor. A rather engaging drive. Yeah, you're not going to be hooning into bends in like the twisties with it, but it will still go round at say national speed limit if you know how to drive. But it is a pretty big vehicle, so just bear that in mind. So you've got lane keep assist on this, so if I indicate right, it will let me out of the lane. If I now try and pull out, it will do that, and it'll give me lights that display on my windscreen and also tell me, wait a minute, you're exiting the lane. Oh look, the British Motor Museum.
Hello.
Say when AEB would kick in, collision detection, whatever, they would like go red and it will beep and so on. But the thing is, it's not invasive. You know it's there, but it's not nannying you. Nannying you. Nannying you?
Nannying.
Yeah.
Nannying.
Nene. Yeah.
Not nene.
Nana.
Nannying.
Nano. Is that?
Nanu.
There you go. Nano. That'd be like nanotechnologies
Yeah.
and such, not nanu. Mr. Morkanunu.
Yes.
The late Robin Williams.
Salute you, good sir.
I was going to say, a comedy genius.
Yes. Oh, Captain, my captain. We are at Bunbury. Are you a Bunburyist, Benjamin?
Silverstone.
Woohoo!
90 miles of range and 50 miles to go. It's amazing how much you can eke out of a petrol engine.
Speed trap reported ahead.
When you add a little bit of hybridity to it. I mean, the petrol engines and that have been refined anyway. Use higher pressure and smaller amounts of fuel, etc., etc. But there's no way I thought it would regain like that. It's not got the most aerodynamic look in the world, has it?
No, but as you said, it's done it.
It's the kind of thing that people drift round.
Just wake me.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's more like a car park than a Subaru!
Okay.
It already read our plate, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to find the disabled parking and we need to... disabled.
Oh, yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
We need to... Shops in Kinema. Oh, excellent.
Time to climb back aboard the Subaru Forester. Okay, keyless entry. Next stop, VW. I don't think I've ever driven these roads, but we are on Bamboo Road, which will suit Annabelle down to the ground. We used to drive the Forester. Pulling away, it was a bit sluggish. Now you've got the e-boxer system. No, it's far more peppy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going to win any traffic light races per se, but it's quicker than you give it credit for. A bit of launch. Not bad. Far now. Northamptonshire. Okay, so it's somewhere here.
Right, up at Agno Ground.
Agno Grounds, yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's where we're going.
Here, isn't
Turn right.
it? Country mannery type, isn't it?
Looks
Oh,
like.
look at the little Volkswagen symbols on the left.
Oh, pheasants. Gosh, there's plenty of pheasants over there.
Yeah, sat in the fences, huh?
Yep.
This'll do.
Yeah, I think it must be in there.
Yeah. This is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it must be some kind of purpose-built event and conference centre with all this land.
It's probably got one of those farm shoppy type things as well.
Yeah, like Dalesford down,
Yeah.
further down in the
Like
Cotswolds.
where I went to BMW in the Cotswolds. They all seem to be in the Cotswolds, except this one.
Let's head over.
Let's get behind the wheel of some V-dubs. Let's see what a Polo GTI does round here. We're back behind the wheel of the Subaru. So yeah, it was a fun day in a number of Volkswagens. So next stop, home. We'll be in and out on the way back, but I suppose the next proper journey is going to be to Leeds on Monday, isn't it?
Yay!
So on that note, we better go and get some fuel. Nobody's going north, we're all going south.
Except we are, so yay!
Considering this is like a swirly bend, it's staying rather composed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mitigated body roll, shall we say? Ooh, toys.
Oh. Somebody's moving house.
Wow, do you the American cat? What's that? Firebird?
Something like that.
Trans Am? Camaro? Full of surprises, this, isn't it?
Indeed.
Annabelle's just fueling up for us. So sticking about 30 quid of petrol in. With a bit of luck, that will get us home. If I can hold it down. I think the word is now absolutely knackered. So we're on the M40 and we'll be joining the M42 in about 15 mile. We've now got 140 miles of range and half a tank of fuel, whichever you want to call it.
Fuse or Joule? Pick one.
Fuel.
Hopefully that'll pick up in terms of regen because we've got 172 miles of distance to go.
Old J plate. What's that? 67. When we filled up, we had 130 miles of petrol. Now we have 140.
Woohoo.
So it actually makes fuel. Well, that's how it appears. And it will recoup. Well, we now have 140 miles to go. And literally in the last few seconds, we now have 150 miles of range. So it's gone up at least 10 miles, maybe even 20. So it shows you, doesn't it, the benefit of driving a touch slower in, say, roadwork sections. A roads, B roads.
There's wonders for your recoup.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed on long sections of motorway, this will just coast for fun, but it means that it's permanently topping up the battery here.
Oh, that's quite the queue.
Well, still 140 miles and 125. Yeah. To economise this, considering its weight and its size, is relatively simple. And I've noticed it seems to be pretty good up to 70. It's confusing because 37 miles per gallon doesn't sound particularly good. But the bottom line is, it just doesn't drop. So it'll sit on 140 miles for... You'll cover, say, 20 miles and it'll still read as 140. Little wacky races, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the slowest launch we've ever done, isn't it?
It is. And the traffic's flowing better. Yay! So, not too far from home now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I couldn't say. Been a tiring day, hasn't it? Oh, you're having a yawn answers.
Your little pickle. We're nearly home, aren't we?
Like Elliot Ness, yes.
Capture a bounty like, ready or not.
But the thing is, when we went down to Leamington Spa, we saw exactly how the e-Boxer changes, well, its driving dynamic compared to just a petrol. The one thing I would have liked to have seen is a massive panoramic. So we've got storage points left, right and centre, here, 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 here. On that note, let's get in the back. It's sorcery. Well, wow. The door opens literally 90 degrees. Love it every time the door card matches the front padded area. It's comfortable. I've got supported seats. I've even got a pull down armrest. The rear seats raise quite a bit too, so I've got a great view. And I suppose that doubles with the fact that the windscreen's so damn big. Airbags around the vehicle and ISOFIXes. This centre light. But the one thing that completely amazes me is the leg room. That's set for me at 6'3", and I've still got, what's that, like half a foot? That's unbelievable. I can get my feet under the seat. Lovely and plush, and yet again, this old school style material. Everything's just, well, it's well finished. It's trimmed nicely. And I mean, look at my headroom. I could literally sit bolt upright and I'm still about an inch off the roof. I think that answers the question of the rear seats. Let's take a look in the boot. Now the Forester certainly looks the part. raw and off-roady, but at the same time rather sporty. The cladding round the arches, the big wheels. And you just look at this rear bumper with the insert. I think it's that bronzy orange again. Very solid rear spoiler. Chunky rear lenses and some sculpted styling. It's smart. But as I mentioned, one of the biggest factors about this vehicle is the proportions are correct. It doesn't look too roof heavy, if you get my meaning. Also the cladding round here. I love it. What it puts across. In my eyes, it needs a 2.5 litre turbocharged engine with, you know, heavy mods. But the bottom line is, those days have gone. Parking sensors, reversing camera, and cross traffic, that thing where you can't back out, and you know what I mean. Lots of safety. And a tow bar. Okay, let's take a look in the boot and see. Cater. But the other thing is, if you remember the previous speed of the tailgate, you could read a small novel in the time it took to open. Well, they've remedied that. If you hold it a certain height, you can stop it. You can even set the memory on the button in the front that I was talking about before. Now, the one thing that lets this down, and I never expected this in a million years, weirdly, there's no boot light. Or if there is, I can't find it. But it's nice and easy to drop the seats. You just literally pull this little buttony thing. You pull it back. Ding! The thing is, you could always override it and just use this here. Bing! Now that's what you call serious room. Also, a pull-out load cover under the floor. Well, you can see extra storage, can't you? We're off on another adventure, this time to Settle. We're going to be driving the Citroen Ami. Yes, it was sounding revvy. Now it's been running about maybe 10-15 seconds. It's quieting right down. Let's ignore the fuel warning. So, 20 miles. Get to Settle on that.